Hey, what's going on YouTube? So today I want to do my Week 3 College Football Playoff Prediction video. So last week I had Auburn, Clemson, Ohio State, and Baylor in the College Football Playoff. So obviously if you guys watched last week, Auburn had a rough week. They almost lost to Jacksonville State at home, pulling out a 27-20 win in overtime. Jeremy Johnson didn't look good. The Auburn defense looked okay, but the offense just didn't look like they could get a rhythm going. And now that win against Louisville is even less impressive since Louisville just got beat by Houston. Clemson had a pretty good week against Appalachian State, and they I think this would be the best test yet this week against Louisville. But yeah, here's my Week 3 playoff predictions. So 1, I have Ohio State. 2, Baylor. 3, Alabama. And 4, Michigan State. So obviously, Clemson slid out, and I think that's for a good reason. I say if you fast forwarded to the end of the season and things kind of stayed as is, saying Clemson won the ACC, I think it'd be tough to give Michigan State the losing nod here. Let's say that Ohio State, Michigan State play in their game. I believe it's in early November. I'm not entirely sure on that. But anyway, and it's a 3-point game. You're going either way. Both the other teams clear house on the rest of their schedule. Basically win as necessary. And I think it's hard to take Michigan State out of the college football playoff right now. They just beat a very good Oregon team, an Oregon team that I think will show that they're a lot better than people expect this year. I was low on Oregon coming into the year, but they have showed that they're still pretty good. I could see maybe a second or third loss. Now, if Oregon does get a second or third loss, then I think it'll be hard for Michigan State to slide in. But like I said, these are predictions as of right now. Alabama looked decent again in a 37-10 win against Middle Tennessee State. They have a big game this week against Ole Miss. With Auburn falling off, that was my SEC West prediction. And unless Auburn changes something quickly, I don't think that Alabama has as much competition in the SEC West. There's three very good teams outside of Alabama in that division that I still believe could give them a run, but I don't think we'll beat them, and that's Texas A&M, Ole Miss, and LSU. Mississippi State and Auburn, I don't know about Auburn yet, but Mississippi State still looks like a decent team, but I don't believe any of those three teams will be able to knock off Alabama this year. Alabama's just too good, both sides of the ball. The defense looks very good this year, and the running game looks as good as ever. Jake Coker's also looked pretty good through the first 2 weeks. Now move on to Baylor. See, the only thing concerning about Baylor this year is their slow starts. So I don't know if it's just a preseason thing or just not a preseason thing, a early season thing where they just have or just beginning of the game jitters, or if it's just Seth Russell's inexperience. But Seth Russell had a little bit of trouble last week against Lamar to start off the game. Yes, they did score 66 points in the end, but they were still losing to Lamar at one point last week in the second quarter. And Seth Russell did throw 3 picks against an FCS team, which in a bigger game that could come back to bite Seth Russell, it could come back to bite Baylor. In a game with the magnitude of OU, TCU, Oklahoma State, then the mistakes might come back to hurt a little bit more. But really outside of that, I think Baylor's offenses look pretty good once they start to get stuff going. And as of right now, from my vantage point, they're still the favorite in the Big 12. TCU looked good last week, but TCU also struggled the first week, and I think it's going to be harder for TCU to have their target on their back for the first year. Also have some tougher road games this year, and I don't think that the Big 12 could possibly have 2 teams in the college football playoff. So the winner of the TCU-Baylor game, or even if they both end up losing and there's some team like Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, maybe even West Virginia that ends up pulling out a surprise and winning the Big 12, I don't think the Big 12 can possibly send 2 teams to the playoffs. Excuse me. And then Ohio State, so just right now the far and away number 1. They will obviously be challenged by Michigan State this year. It doesn't look like they'll really have any challenge from the Big 12 South. Maybe. Yeah, I can't think of anyone. Basically, Ohio State right now, from what I've seen, is unchallenged, the best team in the country. Slow start against Virginia Tech. Yeah, they maybe could have put up more points against Hawaii, but in the end, they ended up beating both teams soundly. They've got a pretty easy schedule leading up to Michigan State, unless I don't see them faltering against any middle of the road Big Ten team. So I think Ohio State's in the clear for now, and even with a one-loss Ohio State team, if they end up winning the Big Ten, let's say they lose to Michigan State, but still pretty much clear house the rest of the way, I think they'll still be in the college football playoff. It'll be hard to take the defending champs out. So yeah, that is my college football playoff prediction for the week. See if anything shakes up. See if anything changes. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah.